Hello, this is David Yapel. In this video, we're going to introduce SnapEval for managers and employees at organizations that are using the ADP payroll tools. That is, Run powered by ADP and ADP Workforce Now. Let's start by talking about performance management. I think most of us know that performance management is undergoing a significant transformation. Traditional annual reviews are usually dreaded by both workers and bosses alike for a variety of reasons. As a result, a growing number of companies are replacing or complementing traditional annual performance reviews with more frequent coaching and measurement. This is what's known as continuous performance management. To effectively do continuous performance management, light-touch, nimble tools are required that enable a manager to instantly capture and share feedback with an employee. So let's look at how SnapEval captures feedback. On the left-hand side is a traditional performance appraisal. Traditional performance appraisals are usually organized around goal areas. A goal area could be a corporate-wide value, it could be an individual goal, it could be a competency related to a job. When you fill out a traditional performance appraisal, for each goal area, you typically have an achievement level and feedback details that you provide. The feedback details why you're giving this particular achievement level in a particular goal area. So for example, the feedback details explain why Tammy Martin is receiving an excellent in the area of job knowledge. Of course, in a traditional performance appraisal, you'd fill out the entire form with all the different goal areas and all the different achievement levels. On the right-hand side is SnapEval. With SnapEval, we've taken the same core ideas of goal areas, achievement levels, and feedback details, but rather than going through all of the goal areas for an individual each time that you're giving them feedback, you're just selecting one goal area, providing some feedback details and an achievement level so that you can instantly share that feedback with the employee. To show you how easy it is to capture feedback for someone, we thought we'd start by introducing the SnapEval Mobile App. To capture feedback for someone, simply click on the Capture Feedback button. I could either type some sequence of letters from an individual's name and click the Select User button, or if I'm a manager, I can select from the list of people that report to me. Since Chris Schultz hasn't received feedback from me for quite some time, let's give Chris Schultz some feedback. I'll select Teamwork, and I'll select the achievement level as Excellent. Chris, thank you for speaking with Betty this morning about the upcoming staff meeting period. I really appreciate you collaborating with her on the agenda and guest speaker period. That's it. We're ready to capture feedback for Chris. If I want to share this feedback with him instantly, I'll leave the checkbox checked that says Share Feedback with the recipient instantly checked. If I want to defer sharing this feedback, I'll simply uncheck that checkbox before hitting the Create Snap button. Since Chris will like getting this feedback right away, let's create the snap now. Now, let's talk about logging into your SnapEval account. There's both the SnapEval Web Portal and the SnapEval Mobile App. When you're first assigned to SnapEval by your organization's SnapEval Organization Administrator, you'll automatically receive a welcome email from the SnapEval system. This email includes a link that you can click on to log into your SnapEval account. If you don't have this email handy, but you know that you've been assigned to SnapEval in your organization, you can go to SnapEval.com and click the Login button. This will take you to the same page as the link in the welcome email. On this page, click the Login with ADP button. You'll then see the familiar ADP login screen. Enter your ADP user ID and your ADP password. Then click the Sign In button. If you've forgotten your ADP password, you can click here to reset it. If it is your first time logging in, ADP will automatically present you with a consent request form. This consent allows ADP to share your basic identifier information, such as your email and your name, with the SnapEval system. Click the Allow button to continue. You're now logged in. You can bookmark this page for fast access in the future. Now let's talk about logging into the SnapEval Mobile App. To start, open the Apple App Store or Google Play on your smartphone. Search for and select SnapEval. Then select the SnapEval application. Click the Install button to install the SnapEval application. Now that you've successfully installed the SnapEval app on your smartphone, you can either launch it from the App Store or Google Play, or you can go to your smartphone's home screen and launch it there. You're then going to see a request to allow SnapEval notifications. Please allow notifications. You will not receive notifications from SnapEval as a company. All the notifications that you will receive on your smartphone are going to be coming from your organization for activities such as you receiving feedback from others. Next, click the Login with ADP button. Enter your ADP user ID, your ADP password, and click the Sign In button. If you've forgotten your ADP password, click here to reset it. If you haven't already logged into the SnapEval Web Portal and accepted the ADP consent request, you'll be prompted to do so now. Click the Allow button to continue. You're logged in. You won't need to log in again because the SnapEval mobile app automatically remembers your username and your password. Now, close the app, restart your smartphone, and use the SnapEval icon to open the mobile app. These steps register the SnapEval mobile app with the SnapEval push notification service, so you'll automatically get push notifications when someone gives you a snap. Now let's talk about using the SnapEval Web Portal. Let's start by introducing the concepts of users, managers, and group administrators. All individuals are users when added to SnapEval. When subordinates are assigned, a user also receives the manager role. This defines who can give feedback to whom. In other words, managers can give feedback to their assigned subordinates. This can be augmented with 360-degree feedback enabled. This can be done by an organization administrator in SnapEval who is typically your HR professional. When 360-degree feedback is enabled, anyone can give feedback to anyone else in the organization. A manager can only view the snaps that the manager themselves have given to a subordinate, plus a subordinate self-snaps. In other words, the manager can't see snaps that the employee or subordinate has received from anybody else in the company. A group is a collection of users. It could be a department, a team, or a job function, for example. Managers are often also assigned as group administrators. A group administrator can view all snaps that members of the group give or receive. So in other words, if a subordinate receives a snap or gives a snap to someone else, the group administrator can see that. Now, let's look at the navigation menu in SnapEval in more detail. Again, at the top is your corporate logo that you can click on to go to your own homepage. Right below it is a link to view the org chart for your organization. The next link below it you can click on to capture feedback for yourself or others. In other words, this is where you're going to go to capture a snap. Below that is a link that you can use to request feedback from others. Underneath the area of dashboards, there are 3 different dashboards available. The group dashboard, of course, is exclusive to group administrators, and it allows you to view and manage performance of your assigned groups. And an individual can be assigned multiple groups as a group administrator. Right below that is what's called the My Team dashboard. This is where you can view and manage the performance of people who have been assigned to you as your team members. In other words, this is where your subordinates will show up in your My Team dashboard. Right below that is what's called the My Feedback dashboard. Everybody has the My Feedback dashboard. And the My Feedback dashboard is where you're going to see feedback that you've received from others and feedback that you've given to others. Right below the My Feedback dashboard is a link called Spotlight Recognition. This link allows you to see all the snaps that have been recognized for performance excellence. Below that is a link called Performance Summaries. Performance summaries in SnapEval are actually like traditional performance appraisals with one important difference. They actually can incorporate the snaps that you've received throughout the year into the performance summary document. And we'll talk more about that in a future video. The My Groups link takes you to a page where you can view details about your assigned groups, such as your group membership and your group goals. If you're a group administrator, you also have access to the Send Instant Notifications link. This is an area where you can send custom push notifications to others' smartphones. And lastly, there's the My Info link, which takes you to a page where you can view your username and password if you're a standalone user of SnapEval, or if you're an ADP user, it will take you to the ADP Marketplace. Now, let's look at the built-in org chart in SnapEval. This page is available to all users. You can get to it by clicking on the org chart link, which is right below your corporate logo. There are many helpful features in the org chart. First of all, you can use the search feature to find a user within the org chart. There are also links for exporting org chart data, such as PDF, PNG, and CSV files. If you click on a node, you can view details about a user. If you see a node that has the icon shown here, it means that the user has additional relationships that aren't shown within the org chart. In other words, we can only effectively show one manager for each employee within the org chart, but you are allowed to have multiple managers if your organization administrator has set it up that way. This little icon here that you see indicates that a user has more relationships than what are shown in the org chart. And if you click on the node, you can see what those additional relationships are. You'll also notice that right below the user's email address is an indicator that indicates whether they have a group administrator or organization administrator role. There are navigation buttons in the lower right-hand corner of the org chart that allow you to expand or reduce the size of the org chart or show you different views of the org chart. The three little white dots in the lower right-hand corner of a node allow you to create a snap for that person. There's a table that will sometimes be populated when new users are added to the org chart with users that don't have any relationships yet. Usually this is when they're first added to the SnapEval system and the organization administrator, who is your HR professional, hasn't yet had an opportunity to assign that person to their appropriate manager. And so these individuals still show up, but they show up in this table below. And again, as you can see, you can create snaps for those users even before they've been assigned. Now, let's look at the process to capture and share feedback with others. It starts by clicking on the Capture and Share Feedback link in the navigation menu. Then type any letter or letters of a user's name and select that user from the drop-down list. Enter your own name if you want to create a self-snap. If you're a manager, your assigned employees will show up in the box below, and you click on the Give Feedback link to select them to give feedback to. Whichever method you choose, it's going to take you to a page similar to this for the individual that you're going to give a snap to. In this case, we're going to give a snap to Larry Berry. You'll start by selecting a goal area. In this case, we've selected dependability. All of the available goal areas for this individual are listed on the right-hand side. Next, we'll select an achievement level for this snap. Again, all of the available achievement levels are also listed on the right-hand side. Next, we'll add a text note that provides details about the feedback. We then have an important decision. Do we want to share this feedback instantly with Larry or not? If we want to share this feedback instantly with Larry, meaning that he'll receive an email with this feedback, and he'll also see it if he logs into his own SnapEval account, we'll leave this checkbox that says Share Feedback with the Recipient Instantly checked when we hit the Create Snap button. On the other hand, if we don't want to share this feedback instantly with Larry, perhaps we'd like to defer sharing it to a future point in time, we'll simply uncheck this checkbox and then hit the Create Snap button. If your organization has performance recognition enabled, there'll also be a box that you can check that says Nominate this feedback for spotlight recognition. If this checkbox is checked, this snap will be nominated for performance excellence, and it will be reviewed by your organization administrator, typically your HR professional, as to whether it's going to be made public within the organization for recognition of performance excellence. If you don't check the checkbox, then of course it won't be nominated for recognition of performance excellence. The next step is to click the Create Snap button. This will submit the snap to the SnapEval system. If you want to create multiple snaps for an individual, you can use the Add More Feedback button to allow you to create multiple snaps for the same individual. They can be in the same goal area or in different goal areas. So now let's talk about communicating feedback using snaps. As we've introduced, you can instantly create a snap. And this is very powerful, so you can capture feedback when you're thinking of something or observing performance so that the feedback's not forgotten. You can do it easily with any computer, tablet, or smartphone, and the voice-to-text support in the mobile app makes this particularly easy to do. When you create the snap, your first choice is to be able to share it instantly. And this is perfect for a thank you or an acknowledgement for something well done. When you leave the checkbox checked that says Share Feedback with the Recipient Instantly, and then click the Create Snap button, that snap will be shared via email with the recipient, and they will also be able to see that feedback if they log into their own SnapEval account. This is again perfect for a thank you or for an acknowledgement for something well done. If you're capturing developmental feedback, it can be much more powerful to be able to capture the snap as draft, meaning that you're not going to share it with the employee at this point in time. You can do so by unchecking the checkbox that says Share this feedback with the recipient instantly prior to clicking the Create Snap button. This basically means that the snap is in the system as draft. The recipient cannot view the snap in the web portal or in the mobile app, and they will not receive an email with that feedback. It gives you, as the feedback creator, the opportunity to subsequently discuss that feedback with the employee or the recipient first, prior to sharing anything with the employee electronically about this feedback. It also gives you the opportunity to potentially edit the feedback prior to sharing it with the employee to reflect the conversation that you've had with the employee about the feedback. But I do want to underscore that with SnapEval, it's important to be not only sharing positive feedback, thank yous and acknowledgments for things well done, but it's also important to be sharing developmental snaps when it's applicable. The third choice is to never share a snap. This is particularly useful if you're a manager for an employee and you're just capturing general thoughts about the employee's performance, things that might not be actionable for the employee at that point in time. Perhaps things like you're recognizing this employee is starting to get ready for a promotion, and it's things that you may want to pass along to future managers for this employee, because the future managers, presuming they're group administrators, will be able to see the snaps that you've captured but never shared with the employee. So now let's talk about the workflow for a snap. When a snap gets created, the first thing that happens, it goes through a built-in dictionary that has what is generally considered to be inappropriate words or phrases. If the snap contains any of those words or phrases, essentially it will be kicked out of the system and an email will be generated that goes to both the creator of the snap and to the organization administrator for your SnapEval account, which is typically your human resource professional, with that content. Now, I do want to specify that there are certain words that contextually may or may not be considered to be inappropriate, and so your Snap game may get flagged on that and the content was perfectly innocent. But for the most part, these are words that in some context are generally considered to be inappropriate. And so those are why they're in the inappropriate language filter. So you'll just have to work around those words if it turns out that they happen to get flagged by the SnapEval system. The next step, of course, is if it does pass through the inappropriate language filter without any issues, which 99% of all snaps do, then depending on whether you've shared it or not with the recipient, it'll either be held until it's shared or it will be shared with the employee immediately. Now there's another step that the human resource professional, your organization administrator, can specify that's called feedback queuing. And basically, feedback queuing allows your organization administrator to specify additional criteria that will cause a snap to be queued for his or her review. An example would be negative sentiment. So if you created a snap that said, "You are a bad employee, you should go get a new job." Now there's no foul language in there per se, but as you can tell, the sentiment of that snap is very negative. And that would cause that snap to get queued for review per this advanced language processing algorithm that's built into SnapEval for sentiment. Another example would be the lowest level of achievement. If you created a snap that was needs improvement type of achievement level, that could be a criteria that the organization administrator has set for feedback queuing. Now, just because a snap is queued for review doesn't mean you did anything wrong. Sometimes the negative sentiment analysis tends to be a little bit sensitive, and things that really aren't negative will get queued for review. Sometimes snaps are created that have the lowest level of achievement, and that's absolutely legitimate and justified for the recipient based on their performance. So all it means is when something is queued for review, it means it's a snap that the organization administrator, again, your human resource professional, probably wants to be aware of before that snap gets shared with the employee. If you have in your organization the performance recognition module installed and enabled, then again, like we saw, there's a second checkbox that you can check when you create the snap that will cause that snap to, in addition, be nominated for performance recognition. And so as you can see, if that snap goes through that process, it will then be reviewed by, again, your human resource professional, according to the bottom half of this slide here. If the nomination is declined, the employee still will receive their snap based on the top half of the workflow. And of course, everything on the top half of the workflow is private to the recipient. So when a snap is received, basically the employee's manager, and certain administrators within SnapEval can view it. But it's not generally publicly visible to most people. On the other hand, if a nomination is accepted for this spotlight recognition, then that snap is published to a public dashboard within the SnapEval system that everybody within your organization can view, and the recipient also gets a second email from the SnapEval system that says, "Hey, you've been recognized for performance excellence." So basically, this is the workflow for a snap in SnapEval. So now let's talk about requesting feedback from others. And this process is initiated by essentially clicking on the Request Feedback link within the navigation menu, which brings up this page where you can fill out the email or name of this person and that you'd like to receive feedback from, and a note that it has any details about why you are requesting feedback. Perhaps it's a project that you've worked on with this person and you'd like to get feedback about your performance working with them on this project. Then click the Send Request button and it generates an email to the recipient. When they get that email, it includes a link that they can click on, and if they click on that link, it will again open the browser on their computer and they can essentially fill out a snap for you right then and there. It will be basically the snap form for you. If you're a group administrator, there are certain dashboards that are specific to you. And the most important one is what's called the group dashboard under dashboards. This shows you what groups you're an administrator for. It gives you all kinds of details about who has received the most and the least feedback within your group, because those are some of the things you're very interested in tracking. It also has feeds of some of the recent exceptional feedback, some of the recent developmental feedback, and just in general recent feedback overall that has been received by members of your assigned group or groups. And basically, if you want to see all the feedback that has been received by members of your group, you can click on the All Feedback link at the bottom of this column. There are also some basic graphic data about the snaps that have been received by members of this group. Again, the best way to get familiar with this is just start to explore it as snaps get started in the system. I do want to talk specifically about heat maps for a second. And what a heat map is, it's basically a way to see how many snaps have been created for an individual, either on this side that's people that are creating snaps or people that are receiving snaps, and to say how many snaps have been created for, in this case, or by this person Larry Barry, within this particular time frame that you set in each one of the corporate-wide goal areas. And so the goal here is for you to be able to see overall, is this particular person creating feedback for employees across all of the goal areas within the company over a period of time. If you want to see more details, you can simply click on that user's name and you can drill down in and see more details about the actual snaps that that individual has created. Now, another dashboard, this is specific to people that have the managerial role. Again, these are where people are assigned to you in SnapEval as subordinates. Those subordinates are going to show up on this My Team dashboard. And so to get to it, you'll click on the My Team dashboard, and there is a heat map right at the top, just like we've discussed earlier, that has all the people that are assigned to you and how many snaps you've given to them in each goal area. This happens to default to the past 365 days. There's also what we call a performance summary card for each individual, and if you click on it, you can view details about feedback that they've received. Again, if you have individuals that are assigned to you in your My Team dashboard, just like we saw earlier, they will show up in this Assigned Employee Feedback Status area, and you can click on the Give Feedback link to give them feedback. The red and green indicators here indicate whether you've recently given feedback to these employees or not, according to a schedule that's basically configurable by your organization administrator. In other words, if you give feedback to someone as a snap, like Larry Barry has received here, the feedback indicator will, or status indicator will show green for feedback recently received. Over a period of time, that will change from green to yellow, and it'll say feedback due soon. And over a more extended period of time, it will change from yellow to red, as you see by Lisa Buckshaw here, where it says feedback overdue. So this is just a general reminder for you as to give feedback to individuals that haven't received feedback from you. By the way, if Lisa had received feedback from someone else in the organization other than yourself, and you had not provided feedback to Lisa for quite some period of time, the red feedback indicator would still apply. In other words, this is just indicators that indicate whether you, as that person's assigned manager, have given feedback to that particular employee. And then there's a place here where you can request feedback for one of your employees on their behalf. So if you know that one of your team members has worked with another team member in the organization and you'd like to get feedback about their performance, you can make a request on behalf of, in this case, Larry Barry or Lisa Buckshaw, for feedback about their performance. Now again, everybody in the organization has this third dashboard, which is the My Feedback dashboard. And this is a place where basically you can see the feedback that you yourself have received. There's also, if it's enabled in your account, an opportunity for you to request feedback from external sources outside of your company. Everything we've talked about so far is feedback that's coming from within your organization. There is a QR code which can be scanned by a smartphone. It will open up a form that will allow external people that are not enrolled in the SnapEval system to give you feedback. There's also a link, and you can see it says My Anonymous Feedback link right above it, that you could incorporate into your email signature, for example. So again, individuals outside of your organization can give feedback about your performance. There's another feature here that allows you to take feedback that you may receive via email and instantly turn it into a snap without the process of having to copy and paste content from an email into a snap. So what you're able to do with this your SnapEval inbox feature is you can forward from your corporate email address an email that you would like to turn into a snap to this special email address, and you can see that it ends in create.snapeval.com. That email address will only accept email from your own personal corporate email address, the one that you use with your SnapEval account. It won't accept email from anybody else, and that's done so that nobody can spam this particular email box. If you forward an email to this email box that is your SnapEval inbox, essentially that content will show up at the top of this dashboard as draft content. What you can then do is select the recipient that you want to receive the snap. That could be yourself, that could be someone else in the organization. You can then make edits to the content, and by the way, a snap can be up to 10,000 characters, so you can be verbose if you wish, and then basically decide if you want to share that feedback instantly or defer sharing it, or however you want to handle it. So it's a really simple way to take feedback that you receive via email and turn it into a snap, either for yourself or someone else in the organization. There's also a place where you can see feedback that you have given. Again, these are people that aren't necessarily assigned to you as employees. They may be peers, they may be others, if 360-degree feedback is turned on. So you can see all the feedback that you've given in the organization. You can see your own goals, and you can see any self-snaps that you've created. If the Spotlight Performance Recognition feature is turned on in SnapEval, this is what the Spotlight Recognition dashboard looks like. It's basically got a marquee of feedback that scrolls across, so you can see who created a snap that was recognized for performance excellence, who was the recipient of it, and there's a button right below that that says View All Recognition that allows you to see every snap that has been recognized for performance excellence in your organization. This will show you in this little indicator here how many people overall have received recognition for performance excellence out of your total population of employees in SnapEval. And there's a word cloud that also shows you on a relative basis who has received more or less snaps for performance that were recognized for performance excellence. We won't talk a lot about performance summaries in this particular video, but other than to say, again, this is a very powerful, very easy way to create what effectively is a traditional performance appraisal that has snaps embedded in it. And it's an automatic process. It literally takes a few keystrokes and you can create a performance appraisal for someone very simply that has incorporated into it all of the snaps that they have received over some period of time. So you would start that process by clicking on the Create Performance Summary link and go from there. This can be a performance summary that you create for yourself. If it's a manager, it can be for people that report to you. If you're a group administrator, it can be for anyone that's in any of your groups. And if you're an organization administrator, it can be for anybody in the company. And we also allow you to collaborate on performance summaries according to basically a set of logic that defines who is allowed to collaborate with whom. But again, we'll save most of this for a separate video. If you're a group administrator, there's also a link here in the navigation menu that allows you to see details about the assigned groups or the groups that have been assigned to you. And so you can see the details as to who has been assigned to your group, what are the goals for your group. You can actually update the goals for your group if you wish. Also, if you're a group administrator, you have a feature that allows you to essentially send custom push notifications to individuals within your organization. Now, these notifications will be delivered to all of your intended recipients, whether that's everybody in the company or a specific group or everybody who has the manager role. All of the people that are the recipients of this notification will receive that content via email. In addition, if they have the SnapEval Mobile App installed on their smartphone, they're going to receive that content as a push notification. And it's a very powerful way to get a hold of someone, particularly if they're remote and maybe they have a lot of email they get already. And so this is a way to kind of really get their attention because it shows up as a push notification on your smartphone. So it's pretty hard for someone who is a recipient to not be aware of the fact they've received that push notification. The main menu for the SnapEval mobile app is really a series of shortcuts for things that we've already looked at in the SnapEval Web Portal. For example, there's a button that allows you to instantly create a snap for someone else. There's another button that allows you to view all the snaps that you've given. There's another button that allows you to view all the snaps that you've received, and one to request feedback from others. The green buttons all relate to either giving feedback to someone else or receiving feedback from someone else. The blue buttons relate to capturing or viewing self-snaps, and the yellow button is a shortcut to be able to view the Spotlight Performance Recognition dashboard. As I mentioned, the mobile buttons are shortcuts to common functions in SnapEval. But you also have the full functionality of the web portal as well. All you do is click the menu button at the top of the navigation menu, and the buttons slide to the right, exposing the full navigation menu. As we've already talked about, the SnapEval mobile app supports push notifications, including custom push notifications from administrators in SnapEval to let you know about important things going on within your organization. The SnapEval mobile app also supports what's called badging, and you can see the number 1 here with the red circle around it by the SnapEval icon. This basically tells you that something is important in SnapEval that requires your attention. So when you see a badge, click on the SnapEval icon. As we've also already talked about, the SnapEval mobile app supports voice to text, which makes capturing feedback for others really fast and easy. Also, the SnapEval mobile app supports both landscape and portrait modes. So if you're an administrator, for example, in SnapEval, and you are going to look at things like dashboards, it makes it really handy to be able to turn your smartphone by 90 degrees and look at the dashboard in landscape mode rather than in portrait mode. So here's your homework assignment. We'd like you to log into your SnapEval account. Log into the web portal, download and install the mobile app, and log into the mobile app. Your organization may also have set aside a period of time for you to capture practice feedback for one another. This is an opportunity to get familiar with the SnapEval system prior to capturing live snaps for one another. If you have any questions or you need any help, of course you can start by reaching out to your organization administrator, who is generally your HR professional. But if you have additional questions that he or she can answer, please feel free to reach out to us directly. You can email us at support@snapeval.com or call us at area code 585-414-5000.